Welcome to episode 5 of the Solo Sideline. I'm your host, Conor. This is the #1 podcast that talks about the Broncos, Seahawks, and the NBA. I can legally say that since I'm the only podcast that focuses on these three markets. Please don't report this if that actually isn't factual. Engage with me on Instagram or Twitter. My handle there is the Solo Sideline, and I want this podcast to be all sports, no fluff. And items that are fluff that didn't make the cut today? Our Skip Bayless claimed LeBron is the 9th greatest player in NBA history, and that's just ridiculous and clickbait. It started out with him being on First Take and explaining who's ranked higher than LeBron. Then he went on The Arena, which is a show he is on with retired NFL players. He posted a video about it on his Twitter. This guy's literally doing a whole media tour about it to stay relevant. And it worked out since I'm talking about him and the ridiculous topic. He's like the character J. Jonah Jameson from Spider-Man, the newspaper editor who always spins the story that Spider-Man's a menace. In this instance, LeBron's the menace. Crazy. His order was MJ, Magic, Kareem, Tim Duncan, Bill Russell, Kobe, Larry Bird, then LeBron, and Wilt to round out the top 10. This list is just a blind ranking of great players with his biased opinion included. For those that don't know, Skip has always been critical of LeBron and made a career of being labeled a LeBron hater. Kudos to him for making a long and successful career out of hot takes and non-factual arguments. The NFL schedule dropped, and we will get into the record predictions for both the Broncos and the Seahawks here shortly. But with the NFL schedule drop, every team's media team also releases videos for their specific schedules. Some are great and funny, and others are just alright. The Chargers have consistently put out good schedule drops every single year. This is about the only thing the Chargers are actually consistently good at, though. If you want to relive the Halo nostalgia and see some funny shots at teams with some subtle and maybe not so subtle shots, talking about the Patriots scandal and Bo Nix's broken ankle, watch the Chargers schedule drop video. It's pretty good. And then talking about the NFL schedule release, Dave Portnoy felt the need to comment on social media saying that any team who takes a shot at or makes fun of the Mike Vrabel and Diana Russini scandal will be personally sued by him. Part of me thinks Portnoy's involved at this point because he's just so involved in the scandal. He wants to protect his guy, the coach of the Patriots, Mike Vrabel, and I don't even know if they know each other. Another thing that Portnoy did this weekend that really annoyed me and just seemed like an attention-grabbing post, basically, was the Indiana Fever played the Seattle Storm this week in the WNBA. And to promote that game, the Indiana Fever used a picture of a player that wasn't Caitlin Clark, who was their star player, admittedly. But then Dave points out, oh, the WNBA just hates Caitlin Clark because she's not on this promotion from the Fever. And then he did a little deeper dive and then found out that the WNBA just rotates players to promote the Fever games. So it's not just Caitlin Clark every single game. And other teams do that too. So he just has egg on his face because he made a big deal about nothing. He should probably do some research and look up the facts before just spewing nonsense out there. And then in other news, the Stanley Cup playoffs are still going on. We're right now in the conference finals, and we have the Colorado Avalanche playing the Vegas Knights in the West, and in the East, we have the Carolina Hurricanes against the Montreal Canadiens. Shocker. Canadians are actually good at hockey. Without further ado, here is episode 5 of the Solo Sideline. We're going to start with the Seattle Seahawks with their record prediction. Now, last Thursday, the NFL released their schedule, and we know what the games are. We already knew all the opponents and where the games would be played. We just didn't know when they would be played. And I will be posting the schedules along with my predictions on Instagram before you hear this, so check out the Solo Sideline Instagram account. But I'm going to talk about it here. Seattle opens up week 1 hosting the Patriots, which is something I predicted last week on the podcast. Even if the storyline may not be the best, I think this is going to be an emotionally charged game for both players and the teams. Seattle gets to celebrate, drop the banner in front of their fans against the team that they absolutely destroyed on the biggest stage. The Patriots will be out for revenge because they were embarrassed in the biggest game of the NFL season last year. And now coming off the scandal with Mike Vrabel and Diana Russini having an affair, and that just being drug out throughout the whole offseason, get to go up against the team that destroyed them last year. So they'll be out for a little revenge, put the narrative of their coach behind them. Fun fact, the last time the season opener was a Super Bowl rematch was the Panthers against the Broncos, and Denver came out on top. I think history is going to repeat itself with Seattle coming out on top, so they get off to a hot start and get their first win. Seattle then travels to Arizona to face Carson Beck or Jacoby Brissett. Doesn't really matter who's at quarterback. Seattle will come back with a W. The Seahawks then fly off to DC and take on the Commanders. This is going to be a tougher test, especially since Jaden Daniels will be healthy this year. At least in week 3 he should be healthy. But I think Seattle's defense will be able to rattle Daniels, and they'll also leave DC with the win. Seattle then hosts the Chargers, and this I have as their first loss. I think the addition of Mike McDaniel will really elevate the Chargers offense and lead to an upset here. The Chargers offense was already good last year, and that was with 2 of their offensive line being injured. And I think one of them, like the left tackle, I think was out for the whole year, got injured in the preseason or training camp. Justin Herbert was scrambling for his life back there. Najee Harris, I think, went down week 2 or week 3. I had the backup Amari Hampton in fantasy, so it was actually good for me in fantasy. But the Chargers offense was good last year, and I think Mike McDaniel coming over is really just going to elevate it. And then they recently signed David Njoku from the Browns as a tight end, so they already had a decent rookie tight end, Glaston. So they'll now have more 2 tight end sets. They can run the ball with Hampton. So they should be a little bit more dangerous this year, I think. So now in week 5, Seattle hosts the Niners, and I think the Hawks get back on track with a win here. The Niners have added a few pieces, like a Mike Evans, and that's about it. They lost Juwan Jennings. George Kittle's older and coming off an injury. I just don't think the Niners are going to be that good of a team. I know they were good last year and still in play for the number 1 seed with either the second to last week or the last week of the NFL season, but I think the Niners take a step back. Week 6, I'm calling the Solo Sideline Bowl game. It's a Thursday night matchup between the Broncos and the Hawks, a rematch of Super Bowl 48, and we know how that went, though this time I have Denver winning this game, dropping the Hawks to 4-2 after 6 games. After losing to the reigning AFC West champ, the Hawks then come home and host the Chiefs, who are looking to win that crown back. But I have Seattle winning this game. I'm not sold that Mahomes is going to be back to his usual self this season, and he's going to be less mobile. And with a less mobile Mahomes, the dark side should be able to tee off on him, sack him, hit him, probably get to him and rush his passes. This game's also going to mark the first time Kenneth Walker is back in Seattle as a Chief. So there's going to be some emotional ties in this game. Ken Walker coming back where he won a Super Bowl, the team who drafted him, still has friends on the team, but he's trying to win as a Chief. And then Mahomes, I think, is really just going to try and go out there and show the NFL and fans who probably are talking bad about him, raising my hand here, that he's still the Patrick Mahomes that went to 3 straight Super Bowls, almost completed. I mean, I wouldn't say almost, but had the chance to complete a 3-peat. Then they got rocked by the Eagles in that Super Bowl. Pretty good. Pretty fun to watch. So then in week 8, the Bears come on downtown and will be losing to Seattle. Caleb will not have a chance to make a miraculous 4th quarter comeback because I don't think the game's going to be all that close. I think Caleb's going to have a rough time here in Seattle, which is great because I think he's overrated. After the Bears, the Cardinals then visit Seattle, and they're going to be leaving with a loss. And honestly, that's what Arizona should really hope for and want. They want to tank for a quarterback from next year's draft. They don't want Carson Beck to be the guy, and I don't think he is. And Jacoby Brissett's just a journeyman quarterback at this point. So they're really just hoping for losses, trying to win the Arch Manning or Dante Moore quarterback raffle or lotto, basically. Then Seattle travels to Vegas in week 10 to take on Fernando Mendoza and the Raiders. Fun storyline here is just after one season of Pete Carroll and Geno Smith, both ex-Seahawks, the Raiders now have Clint Kubiak, who was the offensive coordinator for the Hawks last year. And it's really just interesting that they go from one Seattle coach and quarterback to another Seattle coach to try and rescue them out of the hopelessness that they're in. If you haven't assumed yet by my talk about the Raiders, I'm going to predict Seattle comes away with a win in this game too. Now we're in week 11, which is Seattle's bye week. Seattle sits at 8-2, which is going to be placing them near the top seed or pretty close to in the NFC. but I do have them being placed atop of their division right now at 8-2. However, after the bye, it gets a little bit more rough, let's say. Seattle travels to St. Clair to face the Niners. Now, I know I previously said the Niners aren't that great. They'll probably be taking a step back, but since it's a division game and is at the Niners, I do have them splitting the series. So this is a loss. But then Seattle hosts the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott, and they bounce back and get a W here. Dallas is always everyone's trendy, it is their year this year pick. And then the Cowboys seem to self-destruct and never achieve the dreams that everyone puts on them. They're really not America's team anymore, and I hate that moniker for them. But they get all the primetime games, all the legends talk about them. Dallas just has the star. Jerry Jones just loves the drama, loves all the attention. But yeah, Dallas, it's not their year again. After dispatching the Cowboys, another NFC East team visits Seattle with the Giants coming in. Seattle gets to see the Jackson Dart swagger up close. The Giants may be a problem in the NFL, but not this year. Not in John Harbaugh's first year as their coach. So I have Seattle taking this game too. But then the Hawks travel to Philadelphia for a game against the Eagles. I do have Seattle losing this game, and I think it's going to be a tight, low-scoring game that's probably going to come down to a couple tush-pushes. That's just how it goes with Philly. This then drops to Seattle 10-4 after the bye with losses to the Niners and Philly. And now they face the Rams Christmas Day, and this can determine the division for a second year in a row. The defending MVP Stafford, McVay, Devontae Adams, and Puka come to town. Hopefully, though, Puka doesn't bite anyone and needs to go to rehab when he in Seattle. I kid, not really. But Seattle's going to win this game. I know both games, actually all three games with the Rams last year were close. The 2-point conversion, that I honestly think could have gone either way. The game that the Rams won, even though the Seattle was storming back, and that was with like 3 Sam Darnold turnovers. And then, of course, the playoff game, the NFC Championship game, which was really the Super Bowl at that point. Now, those are the two best teams. But yeah, I think Seattle wins in week 16 against the Rams when they're hosting them on Christmas. Then week 17, the Hawks travel to Carolina to take on the Panthers and Bryce Young, just like they did last year. However, I think the Panthers are a tougher test this year, but not tough enough for Seattle. Seattle gets the W. To end the season, the Hawks fly to LA and take on the Rams. This game could definitely determine the division since it's week 18. With Seattle already beaten the Rams just 2 weeks ago, this one will probably be for all the marbles. I do have another season series split. So Seattle loses this game, finishing 12-5. They lost 3 more games this year compared to last year, or they will lose 3 more games this year compared to last year, if my predictions come true. And part of this is talent leaving in free agency for larger paydays or more playing time, like Ken Walker, Kobe Bryant, a couple pass rushers. So we'll see how it plays out. Seattle will be in a position to win the division with 12 wins, but probably not the number 1 seed. So I think they'll be darn good, but not as good as last year. Now we're going to move on to the Broncos record prediction. The Broncos open the season in KC against Mahomes. And as I touched on earlier, I don't think Mahomes is going to be fully healthy this year, but especially not in week 1. Denver wins this game. With the less mobile Mahomes going against the team that led the league in sacks, it's not going to be good for him. I think if they depend on short passes, Denver has Pat Surtain to stop that. Riley Moss is a sticky guy in coverage. We all know what McMillan can do. Ask the Bills. That ended their playoff hopes. So I think Denver wins this game. Week 2, Denver has their home opener against the Jaguars, and the Jaguars beat Denver last year and ended their win streak. Now, Jacksonville didn't just beat Denver. They beat them down. They thoroughly outplayed them. This year, though, it goes differently. Denver comes out and gets a W. Then the Rams come to town. And for those that don't know, this was the Super Bowl matchup that Oz the Mentalist predicted last season. When Oz was visiting the Rams, he predicted that the Rams would be in the Super Bowl and they would be playing the Broncos in the Super Bowl. He also predicted the Rams won the Super Bowl. And maybe that was a little biased because he was visiting. But Oz got both of those wrong. Neither of those teams, the Rams or the Broncos, were of course in the Super Bowl. But I think he got the winner right. I have the Rams winning this one. Coming off that loss, Denver then travels to Santa Clara to take on the Niners. And I think Denver's going to be able to contain CMC and come out with a W. Then Denver flies back from California, and then the following week flies back out. They face the Chargers. And I know I've sung praises of the Chargers' new OC, McDaniel, but this is going to be the first time Denver beats a fully healthy Chargers team. Since Bo Nix has been drafted, Denver has not faced Justin Herbert and beaten the Chargers. They beat the Chargers, but that was with Trey Lance as quarterback. So I think this will break that streak, and Bo Nix will get his first victory over Justin Herbert. And then we go back to the solo sideline bowl. Seattle fans, you can skip ahead a few seconds. We already know Denver's going to win, and then people will be talking about Denver being a legit Super Bowl contender after going through this gauntlet of the first 6 weeks. They'll end with 5-1. Now, I'm not really one for conspiracy theories, but Colin Cowherd went on TV and said Roger Goodell and the NFL don't like Sean Payton, and then, of course, don't like the Broncos, and have then made the Broncos' first 6 weeks a living hell, a gauntlet of games. Cowherd went on record saying he's been following the NFL for years and has not seen a 6-game stretch this tough. Now, we already know who all the opponents were. We knew where the games were going to be played. We just didn't know the order of the games. I don't think the NFL and Roger Goodell really wanted to stick one to Sean Payton and be like, hey, your first 6 weeks with a quarterback coming off 2 ankle surgeries is going to have to be playing in Kansas City, hosting the Jags, hosting the Rams, out to see the Niners, out to see the Chargers, and then hosting Seattle. Like, that just seems silly. So I don't buy into that. I think it's just what comes with the first place schedule since Denver won their division last year. And we already knew they were playing the NFC West because that's rotating every few years. All right, going back to the schedule. Week 7, Denver travels to face the Cardinals, their last NFC West opponent, and they win that game. Because again, the Cardinals are tanking for a quarterback next year. Week 8, Mahomes comes to Denver. And he comes to Denver 1 week after seeing the Seahawks on the dark side. He then faces the team that led the league in sacks last year. Denver completes the season sweep and beats the Chiefs. The Broncos then travel to Carolina to take on the Panthers, and they win that matchup. This could definitely be a trap game since the bye week's the next week for the Broncos, and they're going to be coming off a divisional rival game with the Chiefs. But I think Denver's just too good to lose to the Panthers. I don't buy the hype of the Panthers fully yet. Now it's Denver's bye week, and Denver sits at an 8-1 record. And the bye week this late in the season is great. The Seahawks have a week 11 bye. Denver has a week 10 bye. It's a little past halfway of the season, allows the team to measure where they are and address any needs due to the trade deadline or any other method, like signing free agents, whatever. So having a bye this week is great. It allows other players to come back healthy. It allows players to rest up. We already know injuries are going to happen. That's just part of football. So someone who is injured gets an extra week of rest, and they don't miss a game this week. Now, coming out of the bye, Denver hosts Mendoza and the Raiders. That's going to be a W. Denver then travels to Pittsburgh on Black Friday to face Aaron Rodgers, who officially re-signed. And they're going to be leaving Pittsburgh with a W. Then we have the much-anticipated Jalen Waddle revenge game against the Dolphins. It's not really that anticipated because the Dolphins aren't good. And I think it's going to be a W since Miami also wants to tank for a quarterback in the draft. They signed Malik Willis, but then traded away Jalen Waddle, released Tyreek Hill. Pretty solid plan for a team that definitely wants to win, right? Yeah. They're trying to tank too. Denver then travels to the Meadowlands to face the Jets, who got Geno back. It's a full circle moment for Geno. Back to the franchise that drafted him, then gave up on him, and then watched him succeed in Seattle. Denver's going to win this game. Broncos then visit Sin City and take on the Raiders again, and they'll be leaving Vegas in style with another W. Now the AFC Division rematch game. Christmas Day, probably snowing, against the Bills. Denver's 11-game win streak comes to an end here, but it's not really going to ruin my Christmas, even if Denver loses. Because if they do, and all my predictions come right, this is only their second loss of the year. And they're going to be sitting pretty at 13-2. Denver then travels to New England for the AFC Championship rematch, but this time with a healthy Bo Nix, fingers crossed and knocking on wood. The outcome here is going to be different. Denver's going to beat the Pats down to show everyone that New England was really just a schedule merchant last year. Drake May feasted on weaker opponents. He's in a division that has both the Dolphins and the Jets. Neither team's good, and that's 4 games for them. And then, I mean, he had an easy path to the Super Bowl. He played an injured Justin Herbert, because Justin Herbert sat out due to like some torn ligament in his thumb or something. Then C.J. Stroud imploded in the divisional round. Then when they come to Denver, he's facing Jared Stidham. And I know Sean Payton really got us to believe in Stiddy, just saying watch us. And I was all on the Stiddy train. After that first touchdown, deep touchdown, I was like, oh, we're going to the bowl. It didn't happen. I think it was really the chest pass that was backwards, resulted in a fumble, and led to New England's only touchdown. But Denver's going to get their sweet payback here, beat the Patriots, and it'll be great. Then with Denver heading into the final week with a 14-2 record, the number 1 seed in the AFC locked down, so they're going to be resting their starters against the Chargers, who probably will need this win to make the playoffs over Kansas City. I think the Chargers win the game, clinch the playoffs, KC misses the playoffs, and Denver ends with a 14-3 record. Same as last year, but they'll be more battle-tested against more playoff teams. Summarizing this, Seattle ends with a 12-5 record. Broncos will be 14-3. Let me know where you think I'm wrong, if you do think I'm wrong. I mean, I've called a few things already, so maybe I'm just really good at this. All right, last week, I said we were going to talk about LeBron's Laker legacy. And this really came to be a topic after the Thunder swept the Lakers. And then media and talking heads were just saying, hey, how successful was LeBron's Laker run? And a lot of them think he failed as a Laker because for some reason they just don't count the COVID championship, which was won inside the bubble. And they just claim he's just good at making the playoffs and then losing in the early rounds, being playoff fodder for better teams. Now, a lot of people call the COVID championship the bubble ring or the Mickey Mouse ring, since there's one inside the bubble, which was in Disney World, Orlando. And there's really been a talking point since the Lakers won. We, as a society, are very much victims of the moment and are quick to judge. I personally think had any other team won in the bubble, other than the Lakers, and any other player won, other than LeBron, it would count. People would acknowledge it. People just want to take away from LeBron's legacy and accomplishments than just acknowledge them. And also, I think it's with the Lakers, too. The Lakers at that point had tied the NBA's record for the most championships because the Boston Celtics had it, and then the Lakers tied it up at 17 overall. Then Boston won another one, and so now Boston has 18, and they have the lead again. Now, both Michael Jordan and LeBron won their last rings at age 35. Jordan then retired for the second time from the NBA, but then came back to play for the Washington Wizards for his ages 38 to 40 seasons, so two years he played for the Wizards. During those years, the Wizards didn't make the playoffs, let alone contend for a championship. And for the most part, people just ignore those years and only focus on his time with the Bulls. Then, when LeBron came around and won from a 3-1 deficit against the Warriors to win Cleveland's first championship, which was LeBron's third, he also won his third Finals MVP. Jordan called up ESPN and was like, hey, release The Last Dance. He just wanted to become relevant again, making people remember his greatness. And of course, then it came out during COVID, so that's just what people watched because we weren't able to do a ton of stuff. Now we're going to move back towards the bubble here. The Lakers won in the bubble, and then they retooled their roster. They're the favorites to repeat and jump out to a 21-6 record when healthy. When AD was there, Anthony Davis was healthy. When LeBron was healthy, they were 21 wins, 6 losses. Then Anthony Davis went down, and then at that point, they were 28-14. So still a pretty darn good record. It all came crashing down when Solomon Hill dove for a loose ball, rolled up on LeBron's ankle, and then LeBron was injured and missed a good chunk of that year. Until that point, LeBron was in the running for MVP. The Lakers looked like a powerhouse in the NBA, and they were going to make the playoffs. And probably they were still the favorites for the NBA Finals. Now, the Lakers still made the playoffs, but they lost to the Suns in round 1 with a hampered LeBron and Anthony Davis who rushed back from injury, which Anthony Davis really shouldn't have rushed back, but Charles Barkley and others called him street clothes due to his lack of being healthy and out on the court. But for some reason, they gave Kawhi Leonard of the Clippers a lot of credit, and Kawhi had actually missed more games than Anthony Davis at that point. It just comes with the Lakers spotlight. People just are harsh. The following season, the Lakers decided to dismantle their team due to their playoff failure and trade a lot of pieces for Russell Westbrook, who then, not too long afterwards, was called Russell Westbrick. And if anyone knows, you get called tossing up bricks because you're just throwing up shots and you're not making them. You're hitting the backboard, hitting the rim, not even close. And Russ did not like that name. Then they go into the 2022-23 season with AD, LeBron, and Russ. But then a trade happens that sends Russ elsewhere. And the Lakers get a couple pieces back. They really hit their stride. They make the Western Conference Finals, but then get swept by the Nuggets, who went on to win the championship. And for reference, in that year, LeBron was 38 years old. So the first year that Jordan was in the Wizards, LeBron was making the Western Conference Finals, and Jordan was not expected to compete or win a championship. Just very interesting. The following year, the Lakers won the first ever NBA Cup, which is an in-season tournament. They invented it to make the season more competitive, try and cut out load management from stars. So just another accolade that LeBron has for winning the NBA Cup. And they also make the playoffs, but then lose in the first round to the same Nuggets team that swept them. For record, then, LeBron was 39 years old. The Lakers hire a new head coach, JJ Redick. They still have LeBron and AD as their star players. During the year, the Lakers make a massive deal to trade Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a pick for Luka Doncic. Luka is clearly one of the top 5 players in the NBA right now, and he's a younger star who will be the face of the Lakers once LeBron leaves or retires. The trade made sense from a Lakers standpoint, made sense as a whole, but also left the Lakers with a huge defensive hole, because Anthony Davis was the defensive anchor. Since he was traded, they didn't really have a defense. The Lakers still made the playoffs, but lost the first round to the Timberwolves. LeBron was 40 years old. This season that's currently going, LeBron started the season at 40. His birthday's in December, so he turned 41 during the year. They made the playoffs, beat the Houston Rockets without Luka and with an injured Austin Reeves in round 1. And again, most of the media and analysts and even Vegas did not have the Lakers favored in that series. So LeBron already did something that most people picked him not to do. But then they got swept in round 2 by the Thunder. Now, that then led us to this whole conversation. And LeBron's Laker tenure so far, because he's a free agent now, he could leave, he could stay. He's accomplished 1 championship. Was named the Finals MVP. He's been to 2 conference finals. He's an eight-time All-Star, a 7-time All-NBA player, and he's made the playoffs a decent amount. Made it to the second round once this season, and then lost in the first round a couple times. For context, that run alone would be enough to catapult most NBA players into the Hall of Fame, being an NBA champ, a Finals MVP, 2 conference finals appearances, 8-time All-Star, and 7-time All-NBA player. LeBron was doing this from his 34 to 41-year-old age. That's the tail of his prime. So LeBron put up a Hall of Fame-worthy legacy, or I guess just legacy, yeah, at the tail end of his prime, and then when he's not in his prime. That's darn good. To match these accomplishments to 2 other players would be Giannis and Jokic. Now, Giannis and Jokic both have a couple MVPs to their names during that same stretch, so that adds to it. But they also are one-time champs, 1-time Finals MVP, made it to 2 conference finals. So would you classify Giannis' time as a Buck as a failure and Jokic's time as a Nugget as a failure? I wouldn't. I don't think so. But again, we're judging a past prime LeBron against players who are in their prime. That just doesn't make sense. That is just crazy to me. And then going back, MJ was on the Wizards, a Wizards team that didn't sniff the playoffs in his last 2 years as in the league. But who remembers that? When anyone brings up Jordan versus LeBron, it's always 6-0 in the It's like 6-0 in the finals, 6 rings, never lost in the finals. It's almost like it'd be better if LeBron never made the finals and lost earlier in the playoffs. Then he could be 4-0 in the finals. It's a weird math thing. It's ring culture. And no one acknowledges that MJ didn't do much without Scottie, without Dennis Rodman. And then no one, and I mean absolutely no one, acknowledges the last 2 years with the Wizards. For some reason, those don't count. And then with LeBron's rings, there's always excuses. Like his first one against OKC was they were the baby Thunder. There was a young Kevin Durant, young Russell Westbrook, young James Harden. They didn't have the experience. And then the second one, Ray Allen hit a shot to push it to overtime in Game 6. Oh no! Who had to take over in overtime? LeBron. Who had to come out and win Game 7? LeBron. And then the Warriors series coming back from 3-1, people just point that Draymond was suspended for Game 5, which is a game that LeBron put up 40 points. But guess who was back Game 6? Draymond was. Guess who scored 40 again? LeBron did. And then, of course, you still had to win in Game 7. So Draymond being suspended for Game 5 doesn't discount that. And Draymond in Game 7 actually had one of his best outings. He was unstoppable from 3. I don't think missed. He was great. And then also, let's not forget, LeBron's the leading scorer in the NBA. He's 4th all-time in assists. And by the time he retires, because I think he's going to be playing this year, he's going to be 3rd. To be top 5 in assists while also being the all-time leader in points scored is just crazy. Since to get an assist, you have to pass the ball and someone else scores. You're not scoring. And then let's let that sink in. If LeBron plays just another year, even just a partial year, he's going to move up to third all-time in assists, create a bigger gap for the all-time leading scorer. We're not going to see a player with this much talent, skill, and overall greatness again. Let's just appreciate it and not take it for granted. LeBron's time as a Laker is successful by the fact that he won a ring alone. Winning a ring anywhere, you're successful. I mean, the Rams traded all the picks. They did F-them picks. They signed Jalen Ramsey. They got out. They went out, traded for Stafford, traded for other pieces. Heck, traded for Von Miller. Won a ring. Success. Anything else would be gravy. All right, that brings us to the end of the pod. End of the episode of the Solo Sideline. I hope you all enjoyed your time listening to me talk sports, share my opinions and thoughts. Don't forget to click subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other podcast services. Find me on Instagram and Twitter, the Solo Sideline. You'll see my record prediction images. Glad we talked it out. Let me know what you think I got wrong. Maybe give my ego a boost and tell me what I got right. And I hope you tune in next week for the next episode.